Hello, everybody. I'm Prakash Janakiraman. I'm one of Nextdoor's co-founders. I'm our CTO and the head of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And we are so thrilled to welcome Tamika Catchings, who is one of the WNBA's all-time greatest players. She's in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. She is a 12-time All-Star. She's an WNBA champion, a collegiate champion. She's won at every level, a gold medalist, a FIBA champion. And she is, I think, Tamika, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because the first time I heard of you was when you were a high school player and you had a quintuple double in a game, which I don't know has been repeated very often or had been done ever in recorded history. I'd heard that Will Chamberlain had done it at one point, but it wasn't on the record. So Tamika is literally one of the best basketball players to have ever walked the planet. And so it is our pleasure to welcome her. In addition to all of her accomplishments as a basketball player, she's a deep member of the Indianapolis community. She's a small business owner, a community activist, a philanthropist. And so today we're just so excited and honored to have you here, Tamika. So thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Prakash. I'm excited to be alongside of you. Even though it's from afar, I'm really happy to be here.
We're all here together in this kind of remote and distributed world, but it's bringing us closer together in some regards and a little further apart in others. But welcome. I thought today we could talk a lot. There's so much to cover in terms of your career, your learnings, but also you as a community member. And so the first thing that I thought we could talk about is going back to your earliest memories of community. If we could go back to, I believe you were born in New Jersey and then eventually moved to Texas to go to school, I think, as well. You traveled to Tennessee and then had a long career in Indianapolis. Let's take it all the way back to the very beginning. Tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up. We know your story of growing up with a hearing disability, but that never really stopped you from dreaming big and having huge aspirations. And you had so much encouragement from your community, from the people around you. Tell us about what it was like to grow up in that environment, what other members of your community, your coaches, and others did to help make your dreams a reality.
Well, I can honestly say I'm blessed. I'm blessed. My father, I grew up in a home, my mom and my dad, and my father was in the NBA. So I was born in New Jersey. People ask like, oh, like how was it in Jersey? I'm like, honestly, my dad played for the New Jersey Nets. I don't know if he got traded or we left, or I don't know what the situation. Somehow we ended up in Milwaukee. So my earliest memories of him playing were really with the Milwaukee Bucks. And so New Jersey Nets, Philadelphia 76ers, Milwaukee Bucks, and he ended his career with the LA Clippers. We moved around quite a bit, and honestly, our community was the basketball community, and the kids of the other players, their kids, like we kind of formed our own little group, and dad kind of moved around. That was our community. His last year when he finished, he actually played for the LA Clippers. We stayed in Milwaukee because my mom didn't want to move us from school, but we stayed in Milwaukee. My dad went and played for the Clippers for 1 year, and then we all as a family moved to Italy for a year when my father finished up his career. Then we moved back to the States, moved down to Abilene, Texas. We were there for 1 year, and then we moved up to Chicago for a few years when my dad really started with Little City Foundation. And the organization that he was with was based in Chicago, really served it served disabled adults. And so I just remember being around that atmosphere at a young age and, just seeing my dad seeing him interact as a player, but then even more importantly, when he got into that role and just being able to care for other people. And I think for me personally, and, I have an older brother and older sister, so the three of us, we were toted around throughout the whole journey. But I think that's what I learned about community and serving and giving and the importance of making sure when you have more that you give more and not always having a hand out, but really being able to give a hand up. And that became part of our lives early on. The Christmas, having to give away Christmas toys, Thanksgiving, passing out, turkeys, and just being able to spread love, spread joy to our community. From that, I just fast forward, obviously, Prakash talked a little bit about my hearing disability, but I think our family and just the five of us early on, that was the beginning of knowing what community, knowing what family. And then, of course, outside the doors serving other people. And as I got older and just kind of we moved around quite a bit, the importance of always giving back, the importance of always serving. And got to University of Tennessee. Actually, let me go back. Junior high, high school, same thing. Our coaches were really instrumental in making sure that we were out and doing community events and, really engaging our community. We had so many fans and so many people that were coming to the game. That's really what helped me as a player in being able to have that community, being able to have coaches and teammates, not only my own teammates, but other players from other teams and their parents, and really being able to get engaged within the basketball community. But then I went to the University of Tennessee and playing underneath the best coach ever, hands down,
That's
Pat Head Summit. I mean, she always stressed the importance of not only we're going to be great in the classroom, we're going to be great on the basketball court, we're going to be great in our community, but ultimately we're going to be great people. And I think watching her and watching how she was with other people and how she served, and we get off the plane in different cities, and people would just be like mesmerized when she would come off the plane, and she would just crack a smile, like, "Hey guys," like I mean, just regular old Pat, like here I come. And I think just her humbleness, the way she served, the way she cared about other people, really spread and continue to be a big part of who I am today.
That's amazing. What an amazing story. And gosh, you've lived in so many different places. You must have experienced
Crazy.
different types of culture, just not here in the United States, but also internationally. What an incredible experience. I lead diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging here at Nextdoor. And it's really important to us as we think about providing a service that serves all communities everywhere and all of the individuals in those communities in whatever shape and form that they come in, right? It's whatever race they're from, whatever background, and including folks with disabilities as well. And growing up in your situation with that hearing disability, it made me think a lot about intentional inclusion, making sure that people don't feel different or don't feel ostracized in circumstances. And I know that there's a great story of, I think it was when you were in the second grade, you were just like, I'm done with these hearing aids. I'm going to throw these hearing aids away and I'm going to figure it out on my own. And to have that kind of courage and conviction as a young person, what were, and moving around in so many different circumstances, where did you feel like you encountered that kind of intentional inclusivity? I remember there was a particular story with Pat Summitt who called you in after a practice one day to talk to you about like, hey, maybe it's time to put those hearing aids back on. Where did you find that particular aspect of your circumstance required a more intentional approach of those around you? And when did you feel like it wasn't working for you, and when you felt a little ostracized and different?
Well, I mean, that was in second grade. And, you know, that's when we came back from Italy. The first year we came back, and up until that point, yes, I wore hearing aids. Yes, I had a speech impediment. Yes, I knew I had a hearing disability, but I didn't know I was different. I
Mm-hmm.
was still able to do everything that everybody else did. And, being in a foreign country, you're already different because, you don't speak the language. We went to international school. So, relative, there were all types of different people, different kids in there that spoke all different types of languages. So, like, you belong because we all were different. But when I moved back to the States, that's when, I remember immediately walking into the school, second grader, and getting made fun of for the hearing aid, getting made fun of because I was taller than everybody, getting made fun of because I talked different than everybody else. And you're right about the conviction of I just want to belong. Like I want to be normal, whatever that means. I want to be like everybody else. And I thought that throwing my hearing aid was the solution. From that, though, I learned how to do a lot of different things to make sure that I was able to succeed. First thing, I learned how to read lip, so I do read lip. Second thing, I sat in the front row of every single one of my classes. Third, before I went to class, like the day before, the week before I went to like my actual classes, I would literally read the textbook and just hope that whatever I read, because we didn't necessarily have the syllabus that they have, but
Mm-hmm.
whatever I read, that hopefully the teacher would cover. And then after class, I'd have to sit with the teachers and make sure that I was understanding every single thing that they said. Because as long as they were looking at me and I could read their lips, I was fine. But if when
Hmm.
they had to turn around and write on the chalkboard and I lost like focus of the lip, I would have word blank on my sheet just because I couldn't understand what the teacher was saying. So from second grade all the way to my freshman year in college, and we moved around in the midst of that, went to a lot of different places. But from second year all the way to my freshman year in college, I just learned how to adjust to the norm of life. I didn't think about it. It was just kind of like you get into your routine. It works. You're successful. My mom and dad were like, unless you make A's and B's, you're not playing sports. So school
Wow.
didn't struggle. I mean, I would probably say the biggest thing that struggled was me being able to communicate outside of my basketball teammates, basketball, volleyball, track, whatever sport I was in, outside of my teammates, like having to communicate with other people that didn't understand the way that I talked and didn't understand who I was. But yeah,
Mhm.
after practice one day, Pat called me out and she said, look, had a conversation with your mom and, went through a series of questions prior to that. Like, hey, when people can't see, what do they need? I'm like, glasses, contact. I wear both, so I'm in that boat.
Yeah.
When people maybe can't walk or, they walk with a limp, what do they need? A cane, a walker, something in their shoes. She went through a series of questions. And the last question she asked was when people can't hear, what do they need? And I just remember sitting there like, oh, she
Oh,
said,
she.
one day your story will impact thousands, maybe millions of people. I think you should get back into wearing your hearing aid. And kind of like that voluntold, like I think, but I'm going to make sure that you do. And I did. I got back into wearing my hearing aids. And, I think her intentionality of making sure not only do I want you to get back into wearing hearing aid, but this is why. And I went, not only did I do that, I also went back to speech therapy and, even like thinking about my interviews and now like being able to go around and speak. And, I would have never, ever dreamed that I would have the platform that I have today and doing the things that I'm doing today. But Pat saw it way before I did.
That's amazing. And it is such amazing and such a blessing to have mentors and coaches like that in one's life. And Pat Summit was obviously one of the best of all time, if not the best of all time.
The best,
Um,
you can say it.
yeah, I could say it.
I
Yeah,
give you permission. You're talking to me right now.
that's awesome. She is the best. And look, a couple years ago, you were inducted in the Basketball Hall of Fame. And what an amazing accomplishment. I mean, your name will forever be enshrined with the greats of basketball, the Michael Jordans and the Wilt Chamberlains and the Lisa Leslie's and everybody that we all grew up watching, right? And um, it's just incredible. And one of the things that stood out to me was in your acceptance speech, there was a line from your mom who told you when you were young and you were out on the field during a really stressful game of softball, I think, yeah, if you don't get your attitude in check, no matter how good you are, no one is going to want to be on your team. And life is really all about that attitude, right? And how is that line and that advice from your mother, or maybe that call out from your mom? I wasn't there, so you can talk about it. How does that how's that changed your approach to interacting with others?
Well, first off, the embarrassment. The embarrassment of it all. The game was not over, and she pulled me. I struck out, and I threw the bat. I just remember like all my teammates were like, "Oh no," I was that one, and
Okay.
yeah, definitely, just learning about attitude and how to have a positive attitude. And it's funny to go from that to what I am and who I am today. I am the extreme optimist. Sometimes people are like, oh, can you just, not be so optimistic about situations? I'm like, no, because we get an opportunity every single day to wake up. Thank God. I wake up, I get to I put my left leg in my pant first, my left sock, like I do everything left to right. But you get those opportunities, and then we get the opportunity to leave our house, to get in a car, whatever car you drive. You live in a house, you have a roof over your head. Like you're just so thankful and grateful to everything that my faith is a big part of who I am. So I'm just so thankful for everything that I have. So that situation, and I think having that conversation definitely taught me about even when things don't go right in sports, now translate that to life and translate that to your work and business and even through Nextdoor and the different communities that we all live in. When things aren't maybe as positive as we want them to be, or people are getting on our nerves, or whatever the case may be, I always try to think about the positive side. Well, the positive side, even though they're complaining about this, but how do we help? What is the solution? And I think really now, I mean, I am a very solution oriented person. Like, don't come to me with a problem unless you have a solution or are working towards some type of a solution. And yeah, I think because of that conversation, it definitely changed me because I never wanted to be embarrassed like that again. And then just my outlook on life, my outlook on sports, and just wanting to be the best. But knowing and being the best, sometimes you also have to fail.
Oh yeah. And look, the best you did become. I mean, you are one of the greatest of all times. And
Yeah.
and it's funny to think that maybe that started because you had a little temper tantrum on the softball field, but
Maybe,
but
maybe a little bit, maybe.
maybe a little bit. Look, you've been a part of team sports your entire life, and what have you learned about team dynamics and constructive communication and along with that, what have you heard about, or what have you learned about the hardest part of that, like dealing with people from different personalities and backgrounds and trying to get through to people? What's been hard about that and what's been rewarding about that? Because we know that it doesn't always go well. Like, you had a really good career, but I'm sure there were some games where you were like, somebody wasn't acting right, somebody wasn't playing their role, I didn't have a good game, and tensions erupt on the court. So what have you learned about some of those dynamics?
Well, it's interesting because on the court, when I wasn't maybe having my best game, it was even more important for me to intentionally get my teammates engaged. And
Uh-huh.
I always said, like, eventually the game will come back around. So not necessarily like force shots up and make forced decisions, but really like play within the flow of the game, and eventually things would come back around. So that's kind of what I did on the basketball side. It's interesting. I own a tea shop, Tease Me Cafe here in Indianapolis, and it's really interesting having to deal with so many different personalities. One of the reasons that I wanted the tea shop is to be able to serve our youth and be able to provide a space that they can come and feel comfortable and want to work and learn how to serve and learn how to communicate, learn how to pull your pants up on your waist, like, learn the important skill set that it is that will help you succeed in life. And obviously, we don't just hire young people because they got to go to school. So we have adults and, we have college students, we have mothers, grandmothers, like we have a lot of different personalities. So the hardest part is managing people. The hardest
Oh,
part is we all have lives outside of the job that we're in. But the thing that I always talk about with my team members, my employees, my teammates when I played, the thing I always talked about was the most important thing for me as a leader was every single day I would pull up into the arena, I'd go down the ramp, park my car, I'd sit there for a second, I'd pray or just think about, okay, like, what do I have going on? I would release it. I would get out, walk down the hallway, walk down the long hallway, enter into the locker room. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I would the same person every single day. Consistency matters. And
mhm.
consistency in how you walk in, consistency on how you show up, consistency matters. And that's what I teach our young people and even our older employees. I don't want to have to come in and have to figure out, can I talk to you today? Can I not talk to you? Are you in a good mood? Are you in a bad mood? Because that's not fair. And I think that even when I leave the house, it's the same thing. When I am around my community, when I'm around fans, if I'm at a basketball game, if I'm at my nephew's basketball game, I always want to be the same person because I think that consistency matters.
Yeah. It's funny because I feel the same way. Like, you and I think are cut from the same cloth in that way, very optimistic. And I think when I think about Nextdoor, our purpose and mission is to cultivate a kinder world where everyone has a neighborhood they can rely on. And inherent in that
Mm,
message is kindness, right? This idea and this art of being kind. And sometimes we choose to be kind even when it's easier to kind of not do that, right? Like there's a situation that's trying your nerves, or there's somebody that's having a bad day and they're putting it off on you, and you choose in that moment to be kind and to be consistent, and to be consistent to who you want to be, to who you aspire to be. And it's not always easy, right? Like there are choices that we make. Can you think of a situation in which you had to program yourself into that space and say, like, you know what, this person is, or this situation is getting on my nerves, but I'm choosing to be kind.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's periods of that every day. You know,
Mhm.
there's situations that happen every single day, but I think more like about my team members at Tease Me. Everybody has things that are going on outside. Now, there's things that I want done, like Prakash, I'm sure, and running a business. There's things you want done, and there's things that have to get done the right way, not just a way, but the right way. And so I think sometimes for me, really being intentional to being kind and being
Mhm.
grateful and being thankful. It's not always that you have to give these big rewards and that you have these grand meetings to thank somebody. Sometimes it's just a matter of like just coming in, and I come in early some days and I'm like, hey, like I'm here to help you. To the side, let me make some teas. I got this. I can talk. I can jump on the register. I can do whatever you need. And I think that that's really important. But even, like earlier today, I was at the tea shop and leaving, and, we have, I'm sure a lot of different areas, you have people that are homeless. And sometimes it's just a matter of they are so used to being invisible because people are not kind. But I
Yes.
think about, could that be somebody in my family? Could that be somebody that, we don't know what the situation is and how they ended up in certain places. And even today, like just taking a moment, and the guy looked up and he was like, "Wait a minute, you're Tamika." I was like, "I am." And so we got into conversation, and I ended up giving him my sandwich that I was so hungry. I was okay, you
That's
know.
right.
Um, but he was so thankful and so grateful. And it's like I didn't do it to get something back or to receive something. I did it because in that moment it was the right thing, and a little bit of kindness goes so far. The only thing I said, I did turn around and pulled around. I said, the only thing I ask is there's a trash can right there. Please just put the trash in the trash can. He said, yes, ma'am. I got you, Tamika. And I'm like, all right, here we go.
That's
Good day.
dope. That's dope. That's such a great story. You know, it's interesting because homelessness is an example of one of many societal issues that
Mm-hmm.
kind of plague us, right? We have issues of gender pay equity, we've got racism, we've got reproductive rights, voting rights. And WNBA players have long made an impact both on and off the court. And we're seeing more and more athletes speaking out on these issues. Everybody from Renee Montgomery, Tiffany Hayes, Natasha Cloud. Players are using their platforms to amplify these stories of injustice and try and shine a light on these issues. And, you know, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on the growing culture and sports in general, but WNBA players in particular, and this real unrelenting community activism and their commitment to bettering the world around them? And why do you think those stories matter and are so resonant right now?
I'm so proud of our players. I am so proud of being a part of a league. I mean, this is something that has been going on. It's not something like, oh, it's 2022 and, 2021 or 2020 when with George Floyd. Like, it started before that.
Mm-hmm.
And, being able to be a part of a league that stands up for things that are right. And, I challenge our next generation. Right now, we're celebrating 50 years of Title IX and just what that meant. 37 words that changed the trajectory for so many women, race, background, job selection. Like, there's so many things that Title IX afforded us the opportunity. But now we're not done. It's not over. Like, yay, we're celebrating 50 years. Like, close the book. No, the book is still open. We're still
Yeah.
fighting. And I think it's the same thing when you think about social justice and racial issues and racial tension and, LGBTQI plus. I mean, there's just so many things that we continue to fight. And what I love about my women, what I love about my WNBA ladies is that they fight together, They don't just think randomly pick something. It's something that's been researched. It's something that's been studied. It's something that the players have unified together to make change and to make impact. And, I get the opportunity to now travel around and talk about Title IX and talk about the important and challenge the next generation, because you guys coming together and stepping up and really continuing that fight, it might not be the social justice. It might not be homelessness. It might be something totally different. Roe versus Wade. It might be something totally different that's important for you. Whatever that is, you have the opportunity to fight for something that matters to you. And I think that's what these women have done. And it's not just the WNBA. You talked about the equities pay. And look at what, the women's soccer league. Look at what
Soccer,
they just did. I mean,
amazing.
it's so amazing, and I'm so thankful for these women that have been able to come together from all different walks of life, all different paths, come together, unify, and be able to push forward so that the next generation is able to come. Because we stand on other people's shoulders. So I didn't get the opportunity that I have. Just like, oh yeah, this is the year I'm born. I stand on Lisa Leslie and Dawn Staley and Cheryl Swoops and Pat played, way back when. I mean, Annie Myers, Drysdale. I mean, I can go on and all the young women that I stand on their shoulders. And now I want the next generation to stand on my shoulders. But they can only get that if we continue pushing the things that matter to us as individuals and things that need to matter to our communities and the people that we get to serve.
That's amazing. And amen to everything you just said. I'm so inspired by the work that all of our athletes are doing out in the community and in really shining a light on these systemic inequities and pushing the conversation forward. Kind of building off of that, I know that you're very passionate about community and you're passionate about having impact in your community, even to the point of starting a nonprofit organization, the Catching the Stars Foundation. And I know Pat Summitt was such an influence in your life and really influential in you kind of having this disposition about giving back to community. Why was it important for you to start this foundation and to put energy behind this effort? And how has that work in the community kind of rewarded you and filled your cup?
Yeah, because people will ask, when you look back at your career, like, what's the one thing that you're just so, what's the best moment, or what's the thing you're just so grateful of? The one thing, through all the things that I've been able to accomplish and through all my teammates and wonderful people that I've been able to be around, the thing that I am most proud of is the Catch the Stars Foundation. Being able to serve underprivileged youth, boys and girls ages 7 to 18, and we get to provide programs around fitness, literacy, and youth development. 3 areas that, obviously fitness was a big part of my life. Literacy, my parents, I told you guys, A's and B's. And I love to read. So that's really, really important. And youth development, because they are the future. They are our next generation. Lord willing, I'll have kids, and somebody that came through our program will be a mentor to my kids. And so I think about that. And with the foundation, you said it, like, we as a community get to impact these young people, but then we also get to bring our community together. We have our back to school celebration. We give out over 1,000 backpacks. So we get the community together. We have our scholar athlete dinner. We get to send kids to college or to trade school or to whatever it is that they want to do next. That brings the community together. And I love what we do. I love serving. I love the opportunity to give back in a way that so many people gave back to me when I was playing, maybe not necessarily from the financial, but just knowing that, hey, like, we have a mentoring program. Come to the mentoring program. Every single Monday, we have a mentoring program. You get food. We have, great conversation. And I think being able to have a place of belonging is really important for our kids, especially right now with everything that they've had to deal with the last few years.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always so inspired by the work that you and other athletes do here in the Bay Area. We're fortunate to know some of the folks on the Warriors, Draymond Green, Festus Ezeli, who used to play for the Warriors. and some of the local activists here, like Mr. Fab, who's one of our hip hop stars here in Oakland, and they are so passionate about their work in the community and giving back to the community. And it's amazing to be able to use a platform like the one that you've built and then come to a place like Indianapolis, where you've spent 15 years of your life as a player, probably the longest continuous period of living someplace that you've had in your life, right? And
Yep.
really build roots with that community. And so building off of that, now, okay, here you are, you're this incredible WNBA superstar. You've had this storied career as an athlete. You're now a community activist and philanthropist. You're giving back to the community. And on top of all that, after being in Indianapolis for so long, you decide that you're going to go ahead and start a small business. And you set up Tease Me Community Cafe in April of 2021. Now, talk to me. You got so much going on and you decided to go start a business. Tell me what's the backstory behind this venture, and how has being a small business owner kind of changed your identity and your relationship with the community, and given you more appreciation of what small businesses mean to communities? Because
It's,
obviously there's intention behind this.
yeah, it's been awesome. It has been absolutely amazing. So 2017, we took over Tease Me Cafe. And then 2021, we added our second location, Tease Me Community Cafe. And one of the main reasons, I was actually a customer at Tease Me. I learned about it in 2005. One of the fans came up to me and was like, "Hey, I heard you love tea. I hope you visited this amazing tea shop." Introduced Tease Me Cafe. The owner then, Wayne Ashford, great guy. First off, I'd never seen a black African American man so interested in tea,
Oh
and he's
yeah.
good looking. So I was like, "I'm gonna go tea. We're gonna have some tea with Wayne. I'm all in, right?" But the thing that I also loved was when I would go into the cafe, nobody there really knew about basketball. So I was able to take my laptop and just kind of like be, once again, fit in and be normal for those moments that I was there to be on the computer. Fell in love with the place, retired in 2016, and probably October of 2016 was there for a meeting, found out that Wayne and his wife were going to be moving and shutting down the cafe. And one
Oh
thing
no.
led to another. It was not like I didn't go to school for this. I didn't think like, "Ooh, one day when I grow up, I'm going to own a tea shop." That was not in the plan, but I had fallen in love, and really it's a staple in the community. You go into Tease Me Cafe or Community Cafe and you never know who's going to be in there. Yesterday, the mayor was there. Like, the mayor just popped in to Tease Me to grab some tea. You never know who's going to be there. But I think really what it is, the Community Cafe is right smack in the middle of the park. We have the splash pad to the left. We have the playground to the right. We got basketball hoops around, amphitheater. I mean, tennis courts, more basketball courts, another playground. We are right in the middle, and it allows us, because we all know if you're a parent, you're trying to find the best part, and you're trying to find a splash pad when it's hot. You're trying to find anything to engage your kids in. And so it really is becoming a community hub where people can come. Now, the first location, more for your young professional or professional. They come, they have a place to meet, hang out. We do get kids in there every once in a while, but even though they're not too far away, it allows us to engage so many different types of people. It brings so many people together. The community that we're able to build. I mean, I love what we get to do.
That's amazing. And next time I'm out in Indianapolis, I'm definitely coming through. I'm gonna come see you. I'm gonna come see Pete. We're gonna go get some tea.
I'm holding
Speaking of
you to it. I'm
yeah,
holding you to it.
facts. I'll be there. I'll be there. I'm a man of my word. And speaking of Indianapolis, we'll get the chance later, everyone on this call, to hear from a couple of Indianapolis-based folks. But Indy is your current hometown and neighborhood. And I know Pete on our community team is up there in Indy as well. What makes Indy so special and unique? Like, you've had an opportunity now to live there for so many years and be a part of this community. Talk to me about what makes Indianapolis a special place for you.
It's the people. It starts with the people. It starts with the community. It starts with the culture. And, of course, when I first came in, I mean, I have only lived my whole adult life. I have lived in Indianapolis. And really, up until February, my whole adult life, I had only been employed by Pacer Sports and Entertainment as far as as a player, and then I rolled into the front office, and now I'm kind of hanging out right now in Indianapolis. But this is all I know as far as culture. This is all I know as far as the community. And people ask all the time, like, why do you stay here? Like most professional athletes, they come to the city, they play, and then they go and do whatever they. We have built something that we have built a family. We have helped build a community through our foundation, through the tea shop, through all of the things that we're involved and engaged in Indianapolis. I really can't, like my dad asks all the time, baby, you want to come move back to Texas? Not that I don't like Texas. I love Texas, but I love the Midwest. I love I love our family. I love the people that we're here in Indianapolis with. I think when you look at innovation and just what we've been able to do and how you look left, you look right, you look forward, you look backwards. I mean, people are doing a lot of creative things. We got a lot of groups, a lot of, now, of course, being an African American and trying to figure out ways to engage. I love art. And so really being able to help an artist, African American, really any artist, I'm not, it really is. I love to help figure out, I like to find groups and figure out ways that I can help them and help put them on and help get them exposure. And so this is my community. I can't really imagine being anywhere else.
That's amazing. And I can't wait to come experience Indianapolis. I'm really looking forward to seeing different parts of the country and to know that we have folks in Indianapolis. I'm super excited. So for all of you who are community leads in the Indianapolis area, please do check out Tease Me and get yourself some tea. So I know our time together is almost up, and that's very sad. But I wanted to ask a question that's really more specific to the audience of folks that's listening here. These are folks from all around the country. They're here on Nextdoor. They're volunteer moderators who help moderate the conversations that are happening in their neighborhoods on the Nextdoor platform. And we're super grateful for their efforts and their passion, ensuring that the places that they call home are really thriving and inclusive communities where people talk about the issues going on there and support one another as neighbors. If you could leave them as someone who is now a certified member of the community, someone who's giving back in major ways, who's a small business owner, if you could leave them with one bit of advice, and of course, an amazing team basketball player over your entire career, on being a team player for their own neighborhoods, what would you leave them with here today in kind of a parting commentary?
Well, first off, I want to say thank you for what you do because, I am a part of the Nextdoor community and really being able, talking to the group earlier, I have the Nextdoor community where I live, each Tease Me location. I love to know what is going on. And so because of you guys, we get these opportunities to stay engaged and to learn our neighbors. So thank you for that. I think when you think about teamwork and you think about working together, the thing that even for myself with the tea shop, listen. Sometimes we're so quick to like, oh, we need this, we need that, I need to implement this, and you're implementing all these different things, and then you might get upset when people don't engage. So, one thing that I've been really intentional and really trying to figure out is how can I pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that I can really like listen to through the Nextdoor. Like you see the issues that are going on, or you see the things, the good, the bad, the ugly, the happy. I mean, all of that. You see everything that's going on, but really just listening to some of these conversations, engaging with people, the engagement people, and people just want to be heard. So listen, allow people to be, I hear you, I see you, I hear you, I see you. And then, of course, Prakash, what you said earlier, being kind and really trying to figure out ways that sometimes things happen and we don't know what people's situations are. But at the end of the day, kindness goes so far. And sometimes it's something as simple as, you know what? You look great. Prakash, I love that jacket you have on. You look great. That black looks amazing on you. It's something as simple as that that will create a smile, that will be something that will be remembered for that person. So listen, be kind, let people know you see them, you hear them, and I think that ultimately will help create change in your team, but even more importantly, in your community.
Amazing parting words. She is a Hall of Fame, all galaxy, all universe basketball player. She is a community and philanthropist. She is a community activist, and she is a small business owner and a member of the Indianapolis community. Thank you for your time today, Tamika. We love you. You're a beautiful human being. Thank you for spending time with us and sharing that wisdom with this group.
Thanks, Prakash.
We'll talk soon. Bye bye.
See you in Indianapolis.
Yes, for sure. For sure.